Welcome to Junior Hockey Advisor. This is Understanding USA Hockey. My name is Jeff Colson. Junior Hockey Advisor is a website and blog and social media helping you navigate hockey. It's informational sources only. We are not agents or family advisors. So why USA Hockey and why are we discussing this now? Well, to understand and navigate hockey at the junior level or at the youth level or at the college level, having a firm understanding of everything, including the national governing body, is important. You're going to be inundated with where to play, what junior level to play at, how do I get to those junior levels, do I play in Canada, spring showcases, college programs, college hockey, college club hockey, Division I, Division III, development companies, tournaments. All this information gets thrown at you. It's very hard to decipher and prioritize that. We're going to try to help you do that. So one of the things, besides being in the business for 35 years and being a master certified coach and a former college and junior coach, is I'm a dad. And my son just recently committed to the Air Force Academy to play hockey. And my daughter won a national championship her freshman year in college. So USA Hockey, we're going to break down the roles and responsibilities, the leadership structure, and the NHL partnership. There are three components of USA Hockey. Oh, by the way, there are over 567 active players as of last year in USA Hockey. It's a lot of hockey players. The way it breaks down, though, is USA Hockey has a governing organization. That's the iconic brand that we know. But it also has a foundation, and that foundation does fundraising, it accepts grants and endowments, and it, in turn, finds utilization sources for that money. In other words, it allocates that money to different parts of hockey in need. The Rink Protection Inc. is a side of USA Hockey most people don't know about, but it is their insurance component, and it comes into play when you ask, what do they all do? What do those three areas do for me as an end user? Well, as an end user, when you register with USA Hockey as a coach or a player, you're insured. There's an education component for players and coaches. They run our national teams. So any teams from the Olympic team, the World Juniors, if they have a USA Hockey jersey on, they're managed and coached by USA Hockey. They run our national tournaments or national championships for both boys and girls and adults. They are our rules and officials. That's all part of the component of USA Hockey. Our background checks and our safety components under Safe Sport fall under USA Hockey, as do our national development camps in the summer. We're going to get into Safe Sport in a later module, but just understanding what Safe Sport is and that there is an actual process to make sure our athletes are safe and that our coaches and parents and players are well educated and informed on ways to keep themselves safe are important. We're going to get into the national teams and the national development programs in modules 2 and 4. We're not going to spend a lot of time on those in this module. So what is USA Hockey? Is a national organization. It's broken down into 12 independent districts. That's what makes up and comprises the national level. Let's go back a little bit. If you look at the map of USA Hockey, some areas it takes multiple states to have enough players to have, to fill the district. You'll see that Minnesota, Michigan, New York, and Massachusetts run on their own, and the reason they do is because they have enough players to pull that off. Now, I live in New York, and New York is one of the 12 independent districts that make up USA Hockey. I live in the west part of New York, so I fall in the west section. There are 4 sections that make up the New York district. There's the west, central, north, and east. Now, my children started out in Rochester Youth Hockey. I was the president of that organization for years. That is, every player and coach and official belongs to a organization at the organizational level. Those, no matter what, is your interface with USA Hockey. In other words, if I'm in Detroit and I belong to Victory Honda as a player or as a coach, I interface with Victory Honda. That's my my conduit to whatever information I need. Now, there's some exceptions. When you register through USA Hockey at the beginning of the year, you do that on the USA Hockey website. A coach may use the section or district level, to actually do some training and education programs. But for the most part, you interface at the local level. Now, the top level, going back to the top, the National Governing Board is made up of 119 members. Every district has 4 members at a minimum that represent USA Hockey on the governing board. There's over 119 board members. That includes ex-pros, all facets of hockey, from sled hockey to women's hockey to the diversity programs to college hockey and club hockey. They're all represented at the board level, and they steer the ship. They make the directions and they make the changes to our directions. Now, on the green arrow, it represents the full-time staff. There is a full-time staff in Colorado Springs. Now, this isn't the whole staff here represented, but there's some key players I think you should know about. But that staff keeps us on point. They keep whatever the board has decided. They keep us focused at all levels on the keeping our eye on the prize. So the 2 assistant executive directors are Kevin McLaughlin and John Van Briesbroek. In the ADM model, there are 2 key players, Kenny Roush on the left and Ken Martell on the right. Both these guys have active and popular Twitter feeds. So Kenny Roush or Ken Martell are 2 people you might want to follow on Twitter because they're always talking ADM, they're always talking hockey. Most of these gentlemen are not gentlemen you want to try to directly interface with, but following these 2 guys on Twitter is definitely worth it. Last 2 gentlemen are the 2 Marks, Mark Boxer on the left and Mark Tabram on the right. Mark Boxer is involved in the junior process. Now, the junior process is different because the junior council, for simplicity, for the sake of simplicity of understanding, think of the junior council as being autonomous from the normal USA Hockey youth side. The organizations or even the leagues report directly to the junior council. That's the best way and the most simple way to think about it. It bypasses the section and the district level. Now, that's not a complete true statement, but in essence, that's the way it works. Mark Tabram is involved with all your educational processes for the coaches. So these 6 guys, along with their staffs, including 6 people that are out in the field for the American Development Model, make up what USA Hockey does in Colorado Springs. And for lack of, these are my words. I believe they're involved with growth, retention, education, advancement, safety, and compliance. Now, each one of these gentlemen has been in this for a very long time. They're extremely professional. They've all been with USA Hockey for a very long time, except for Mr. Van Briesbroek, who only recently came on board. But the reason I say that is because there's a consistency and there's a professionalism. Not every one of those 6 things that are bullet pointed might be the exact words on their job description, but I guarantee you that all 6 are weighted in some way into what they do on a day-to-day basis. All right, let's have a little fun. Let's talk about the NHL and their partnership, because it is very intriguing. The NHL got involved. They've been involved for a very long time, but they got extremely involved about 10 years ago. We got to go to Russia to start the story. And we have to go back to February of 2008. That's when the KHL, the Continental Hockey League, the Russian version of the NHL came into play. Well, when that happened, the NHL was already in Russia and Europe, and they were spending a lot of money on development. And when the KHL came to be, the NHL said, there's no reason for us to be here. We're not going to spend money to develop somebody else's players. So they took their money, and they went back to North America. Now, since they'd already had an agreement with Canada on hockey development through their major junior program, they went to USA Hockey. And they said, USA Hockey, what can you do for us? USA Hockey said, you know what, we're going to put a gentleman on this by the name of Ken Martell. I just introduced him to you a second ago as the technical director of the ADM. And Ken Martell and staff are going to do some research, and they're going to come up with a process. And the process they came up with is the American Development Model. This is part of a long-term athletic development process. Now, you'll hear long-term athletic development, LTAD. You'll hear that phrase used in the international athletic circles a lot. You're starting to hear this used in different sports. What this is basically breaking down to is the ability to train athletes at optimal period of times. And we'll get into that in a second. The NHL said, that's great. USA Hockey, you absolutely have a process in place that will help, but we want to do more. We want to have a whole, complete program. So the NHL said, we will grant you money, but we're going to earmark how that money is spent. So the NHL gives $9 million to USA Hockey on an annual basis. But part of that money goes to support College Hockey Inc. College Hockey Inc. promotes NCAA Division I hockey. Since 30% plus of the players in the NHL are made up of college hockey players, the NHL thinks it's important that people understand how great the product is, and that it also helps any players that are sitting on the fence between the major junior Canadian model, which is considered professional, or playing as an amateur in the NCAA, that they know that they have that option. The NHL also said, we're going to support your national training and development program in Plymouth, Michigan, which is 2 teams at the U17 and U18 level. They have their own rink. They play a USHL junior schedule combined with an international schedule. And oh, by the way, that team, or those teams this last year, had a record-breaking 17 players from one organization. That's an NHL record for the draft. The NHL also said, we're going to support Tier 1 and Tier 2 junior hockey, and we're going to do that by supporting the USHL and the North American Hockey League, the NAL, and we're going to do that by giving them money to help develop and market their players. Oh, by the way, the USHL just had a record-breaking draft with 52 active players selected in the NHL draft, and the North American Hockey League has never had as many teams, as much consistency, and as many college players as they have right now. So all that fits together with the ADM, and the ADM, to give you a little more detail, is a periodization training process. This looks at the different ages of boys and girls, and separately actually, and says, when is it the right time? When is the optimal time to train that athlete in certain functional training? In other words, flexibility, motor skills, speed, stamina, strength, all these things. In fact, when is it a good time to start anaerobic training? When is it a good time to be very competitive? All these things are measured out, and there's a scientific method put into when and how those athletes are trained. Now, the ADM is not just cross-ice hockey, nor is it just small space games. In fact, the ADM did not invent small space games or cross-ice hockey. Most good coaches were using those techniques a long time before the ADM, and maybe even before the people that are working on the ADM now were even born. But those are tools in the toolbox to help the ADM model work, and they're very effective. The ADM is for everyone. Although we were talking college hockey and national development and junior hockey at the highest levels, it's great for younger players. It's a resource for coaches. It helps keep people in the game and maintain a very healthy game itself. So I hope that helped give you an understanding of how the leadership structure works at USA Hockey, what their roles and responsibilities are, and how the NHL interfaces with USA Hockey. This has been the first part of a module series. The next one will be on youth hockey, then junior hockey, then hockey development, then the planning and execution phase. You can put a little check mark next to the first one. Thank you so much for attending this. If you like this and you're watching it on YouTube, please hit the like button. If you want more information on me or Junior Hockey Advisor, go to juniorhockeyadvisor.com. Have a great day.